Breaking down Arizona Wildcats football, U of A falls in the home opener to Mississippi State 37-19. I'm David Kelly, joined as always by Glenn Howell, U of A football class of 1985. And Glenn, the Wildcats just were not quite ready for prime time. A big SEC opponent coming into Tucson. We don't get a chance to see that a lot. This was obviously a team that was much better, had much better talent than the Wildcats. But more so than anything, I think if we start on the offense with Jayden de Laura, I just thought he tried to do too much. He doesn't have to be Superman. Just be a smart, efficient quarterback, the smart, efficient Jayden de Laura that we saw at San Diego State, not the one that made continual mistakes in the loss to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think it wasn't a very good night for Jayden. I think we're going to have to chalk this one up as, hey, this is not very good for me tonight. And I think because he makes those throws regularly all the time. He had more pressure than usual. I think that he was trying to make big plays out of plays that he could just live another down. That's what he has to do. He has to be able to understand, live another down, get outside the pocket, get rid of the ball, and then go to the next thing. As they say, next play. That's what he has to be able to do.
Yeah, the term Jedd Fisch has been using is he's a quarterback who can play off schedule. Well, you've got to play off schedule smart, not off schedule loosey-goosey, which is what I think we saw on Saturday night. Get rid of the football out of bounds if the play is not there. Once you start to move and try to find open space, if you still don't see it, just like you said, get rid of it and live to play another down. There were a lot of conversations, Glenn, between Jedd Fisch and Jayden de Laura during that football game as they were trying to work it out. What do you believe were some of the things the head coach was trying to get across to his quarterback?
Well, I think he was trying to tell him to settle down when things get into chaos and just settle down and do the right thing. Make sure you get the ball. Don't throw it in a crowd. And get it out of bounds. If you can't see a guy that's open, get out of the pocket, throw it out of bounds. I think he was trying to just to settle him down. I don't think we really got into a groove with him where he could throw a couple, complete passes. Because one time he was 0 for like 10.
He had 8 straight incompletions there in the second quarter.
Yeah, 8 straight incompletions. You got to get him in rhythm. When he's in rhythm, you got to be able to, the play caller and the player have to be able to be on the same page. So we got to get better at doing that so we can get him in rhythm and he can have a better ball game.
And Glenn, what did you think? I mean, we saw some different looks from the Mississippi State defense. They even at times showed some very large fronts up there with maybe even 6 guys at times. What did you think of the way the Wildcats handled that?
Yeah, I don't think we handled that very well. I think they were in our face. Our receivers, they were man-to-man sometimes. They were jamming them. They were physical. Those guys were bigger than our guys, and they just said, you know what, we're just going to manhandle you. That's what they try to do. They're making them go slower on their routes, so that messed up the timing by just jamming them off the line of scrimmage. A couple times the tight end was just bullying with the guy. I said, get rid of him, get out of the way, and go and get to your route.
Yeah, and there were some drops in that ball game. And again, that's why I go back to not ready for prime time. When you're in a game like this against a high caliber opponent, you've got to be able to make those plays. Offensive line wise, Glenn, I thought one of the things, I thought that there was one play, and we'll show this play that, and I talked last week about how I thought Jordan Morgan played his best ball game. He had one glaring error here on this play right here where he just did not identify this defensive end here coming off the end. But this really was the only mistake that I saw him make all night. I still thought he played a relatively solid game from that side. Peyton Fears made a few more mistakes, got crossed up a couple times with guys coming across his face. And we've talked about, Glenn, how offensive tackles have got to be able to be better when the lineman is not necessarily always coming to the outside of them, but coming across their face as well.
Yeah, they do. And the technique, I don't think, was very good, very sound. Even on the stunts, man, they when you have a stunner and they're twisting, the key, you got to stay square. You can't be turning your shoulders. If you turn your shoulders, you're opening up a lane for those guys to get into. And we just got to be more sound in our technique. On our hands, I saw one time Sam Langa, he was like having his hands down, and then he just opened the bucket on a guy, and the guy got to our quarterback and sacked our quarterback. We have to be able to be more sound on our technique.
And I got to ask you, you're the tight end. There were a couple times we saw the tight end come across to try to make a block on the outside and missed those blocks. What is key in those instances?
Yeah, what you got to do is you got to identify the man that you're trying to block and make sure you get your feet wide enough where you can, if they go inside, you're going to get your head to the right spot. And if they go outside, you're going to ride them and take them out. But we kind of whipped them on a couple times, and we just didn't handle them, and they got a lane to the quarterback or to the ball carrier. So we got to be more physical, I think, on the motion, on the jet motion, whatever we're doing for the tight end, and identify the player that you're supposed to be able to block you and get your technique down.
What did you think? Obviously, a couple times they brought Jamari Joyner in to run with the Wildcat quarterback offense. What did you think of them changing that up? I wasn't real sure what Jedd Fisch was trying to get out of that. Maybe if he was, I mean, obviously, I don't believe that he was trying to give Jayden DeLore a break there, but I'm not sure I really understood why he picked those times to try to work with that Wildcat offense and Jamari Joyner.
That is, I have no answer for that, Dave, because I don't know why they did that. It wasn't even effective any time. So I don't know if they were going to tell them that, well, yeah, we're going to run the ball with the quarterback, or we're going to give it to the running back, or I don't understand how they were going to trick the defense with that.
No. One guy who's tricking defenses pretty well, obviously the Wildcats, they only ran for 40 yards in this game, down from what they had in the opener. But Michael Wiley has become very elusive this season. I think he's been able to elude tackles at a higher rate than we had seen in the past, Glenn. And I think that's, when you think about Michael Wiley, I think there were a lot of people with the numbers of guys that were coming in, especially at the quarterback position with Jonah Coleman and DJ Williams. I think there were a lot of people that didn't really know what this year was going to be for Michael Wiley, if he was even going to be able to stay at the top of that depth chart. But he has shown in the first two ball games, and I think specifically in this game, that he still is the top dog in that running back room for this Arizona Wildcat offense.
I think he's a gamer. I think what he's saying is that, hey guys, you know what? I'm the top dog, and I'm going to continue to perform when I have a shot. When I get the ball, I'm going to make the most out of the carries that I have, and just take advantage of the situation. And that's what he's doing. He's a gamer. I think he's just saying, he's telling the other guys that, you know what, you guys can be behind me when I get tired, but I'm going to be the top dog.
All right, Glenn, let's flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. Early in the ball game, I thought there were some glaring holes on the defensive line. And I want to show this one play here. This was the first touchdown by Mississippi State. And if you look at this play, if you look at the way that the Wildcats are lined up here, they've already got a large gap here on the right side. Now I'm going to start it, and then makes a stunt to the left, stunts himself into a double team, Glenn, that created an even larger hole there. That kind of confused me because, again, one of the things that you've been harping on all season and leading up to the season is how important gap integrity was going to be for this team, especially this defensive line.
And that could have been alignment and assignment on that one, because you got to understand that your alignment, because if you're aligned in a position, that means that somebody is going to be able to cover you. If you're doing a stunt, there's someone else should be coming back the other way. And you got to give Mississippi State some credit here. They were doing double teams. Their double teams were shoulder to shoulder. They were butt to butt, and they were moving guys out, getting up to the next level. They did a great job on doing their technique. And that's how you're supposed to do it. If you have great technique, you can have successful plays.
And I also thought that the linebackers in this ball game were slow to the point of attack. On some of those plays where you saw big gaps up the middle in the offensive line. Those guys, Jerry Roberts, Colby Cage, have got to be quicker to getting into. If they're going to pick a gap, they need to be quicker getting in that gap to try to slow down other teams' runs game. Because Mississippi State came out and in about the first 16, 17 minutes of that ball game, they looked like a running team more than the passing team.
Yeah, I think the Pirates switched the script a little bit, man. I think he did. He said, aye. I mean, the Pirate he changes all the time, man. That's what and I had my binoculars on the sideline, and had my looking over there watching him, and he was just so calm running those plays in, and he was on a roll. The guy was on a roll, and he knew he had us off. We were off. We were just off. I mean, we couldn't counter with him, and he just had. I think he called a great game.
Yeah, talk about being on. Their quarterback Will Rogers to start the second half. That first drive in the second half, he went 8 for 8 for 85 yards. And Glenn, he was picking on everybody. He picked on Gunnar Maldonado. He picked on Christian Young. He picked on Christian Roland-Wallace. I want to focus on Christian Roland-Wallace because I said last week, why are you throwing at Christian Roland-Wallace? Because he never gets beat. Well, yeah, he got beat for a touchdown in this ball game. But I don't think that Christian played a bad game. Did he lose some in that ball game? Yes, he did. And we don't see Christian Wallace lose a lot, but he also made some plays in that ball game. I think it was about 50-50 from him getting beat to him making plays as well. So I didn't categorize it necessarily as a bad game for Christian Roland-Wallace. Those are the types of games you want to see him in. Those are the types of games he's going to be in every weekend if he is fortunate enough to get the chance to play in the National Football League. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. And I thought he showed his fight in coming right back from that touchdown and next time down the other end of the field, deflects the ball in the end zone.
He's a solid corner. I think he's a solid corner. He's got a short memory, which all corners have to have, because if you're worrying about the play before, that's when you get roasted. You're going to get burnt. And I think he's a short memory guy that goes on to the next play. And he's very physical. That's what I like about him. He's very physical and he's confident. And that's what you have to be as a corner. You got to be confident, because I'm telling you, you can get your feelings hurt quite a bit, especially on a team like the Air Raid offense, where they're just dinking and dunking and dinking. And, you're saying, man, am I going to be able to stop these? But he kept on battling back. He's great on the force on the run. I think he's doing a great job, and he's going to be our stellar on our defense. I think he's going to continue through the whole season.
Well, defense got 3 takeaways in this ball game, Glenn. That is now 5 in 2 games. So I think that's one of the major positives that we're seeing from them. Kept this team in the ball game. There were chances. I thought, the defensive line struggled, I thought, through most of the game. I thought their best run were the 2 possessions after they gave up the early fourth quarter touchdown to go down 32-19 or 32-17. I thought those next 2 possessions, they were all over the place. Jalen Harris was coming off the edge. That's when Paris Shan got a sack. He took advantage of Harris coming off the edge and running the quarterback back into the middle of the line. Keon Bars was being very disruptive. That's what you want to see from this defensive line. And I think that when you talk about the safeties, Jackson Turner, if you count the spring game, he's got a turnover in 3 straight games now, or takeaway in 3 straight games, because he had the pick 6 in the spring game, he had the interception last week, and then he had the beautiful strip in the game on Sunday. So again, there's a guy who's taken to this turnover mentality, trying to be put in place by Johnny Nansen and really run with it.
Yeah, I like our grit of our defense. They didn't give up. I didn't see any give up, or they're going to say, "Hey, man, it's done. This game's over." They kept fighting. That's what I like about our defense. That's going to help us down the road. That's going to win us some games. because after they were down, we were down 14, and we came back. We came back. We didn't think that we were out of the game. I did not feel that our guys thought they were out of the game until late into the fourth quarter. Okay, I think we were battling. I like the way we battle, and I think that's going to help us down the road against these other teams that we have our next opponents down the road.
And Fish at that point, when the team got down the fourth quarter, went to Noah Fafita. His first time getting a chance to play in college. I thought he threw the ball well. You would have liked to have seen him be able to finish that drive and get the ball in the end zone, but made two very beautiful throws to Dorian Singer on the sideline. He'll get better in terms of trying to get the ball in the middle of the field. I would have liked to have seen maybe Jed try to get him a pass in the middle of the field during that set. It didn't happen, but overall, I thought he played well in the first time that we've had a chance to see him in a college ball game.
Yeah, he can spin it, man. That kid's got a great arm. He can really spin them in there. And I think if you give him, when he gets in there and he has some time to, get acclimated to the game and everything, because when you get thrown in there at the last minute, and then you got to, you're trying to do everything. You're trying to just do everything. So I thought he was pretty calm compared to, the situation he was put in. And he'll be a good quarterback at University of Arizona.
Touch real quick on one special teams item that I had, Glenn. Kyle Orstendorf averaged 50 yards a punt in this game and had a 23-yard punt. So that tells you how good he is. Although there was the one negative I thought from him, well, actually two, because he had the 23-yard punt. I also thought that he had a chance to pin them with his second punt in the second quarter and punted it out of the end zone. And that's what you really want from him. You want to see him be able to pin teams down. I never thought that we really had a chance to get them back on their doorstep in this ball game, and that again led to them, I think, winning the time of possession battle by almost 14 points in this game, or 14 minutes in this game.
Yeah, they had great field position all game. I don't think they were ever inside their 20. They were never inside their 20. I mean, they had great field position. We didn't have very good field position. We were always going. We were coming out from our 10. We just didn't. We just had this game was just not us. We just didn't. That was nothing like the game we played against San Diego State. And I don't care what kind of opponent San Diego State's going to be, but at that time when we were playing them, we were efficient. We were not making mistakes. We were not dropping balls. We were doing everything. We're just going to have to put this one onto the next game instead of the next play onto the next game, because the next game that we have is going to be some fighters coming in here on this FCS team that's coming in here, North Dakota State. They're going to be a tough out.
Well, and that's why I like this non-conference schedule, because the Wildcats are getting tested in all three games. There's no gimmies. You really have got to fight to win all of these ball games. It'll be the Wildcats, Arizona against North Dakota State. That game is on Saturday evening, another 8 o'clock start. So be prepared to be there late again, and we'll be back to preview that game for you on Saturday morning.